Hey everybody, welcome back to the live stream. Sorry we have been absent for I don't know, month and a half, something like that. It's been busy around here. I've been busy. We've had other people who they were busy, so they had to cancel. So yeah, we're back, and we got an excellent new person on with us. This is Adrianne from Indiana Back Gardener. If you haven't checked her channel out, be sure to go over and check her channel out after the live stream and give her a thumbs up and subscribe to her channel. So thank you for coming on tonight and joining us.
Thanks
So
for having me.
absolutely, I've looked forward to this since I asked you way back when.
It's been
On
a while.
yeah. So thank you so much for taking the evening out and coming on with us. Um, so we'll just jump right into this. My first question is, what got you into gardening?
Um, that's a good question. I just one day, like all of a sudden, I was watching a lot of gardening channels, YouTube channels, and it's been about, I would have to say, maybe 2012 or even before 2012 is when I started gardening. I didn't grow up gardening. My family really didn't garden. So it wasn't like it was a family thing. I didn't learn it growing up or anything. One day I was just like, you know what? That's really interesting. And what's interesting to me about it is like the science of it all. Like I like to know how things work, why things work. I like to see the um the happening of it, you know what I mean? So like growing things is just so gratifying to me. So I don't know, I just got into gardening because of that.
I can totally understand that. There's something about it, the science that's behind it, and watching things grow, coming up from a seed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about this, like let's take a radish seed for example, or a turnip seed, which is even smaller. You take that tiny seed, you put it into some soil, and out grows this big, beautiful vegetable, right? Or a pumpkin seed, right? And from that pumpkin seed turns out to be 1,000-pound pumpkin. There's something about that that
It's
is
incredible.
it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Because all the life is tucked away in that tiny seed,
One seed.
right?
One
And
seed.
to me, that it's just so awesome to see it come through all the phases from the time it comes up in cotyledons till it turns into whatever ends up being, right? Whatever it ends up growing up to be. It's amazing, and it really is. If you really step back and think about it, it's really awe inspiring. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
like that is so crazy that does that. So I totally get that because to me, gardening is a way to heal, right?
Yeah.
There's so many benefits to it, being able to be at peace and you can go
Oh
out there
yeah.
and I mean, think all the things I've thought about. Like some of the best sermons I've ever preached at church came from the garden.
Gardening.
Yeah,
Yes.
and to me it's so awesome that I'm able to go out there. And it kind of makes me wonder, I wonder what the Garden of Eden was like, you know? Uh,
Oh yeah. I
that would have been
wish.
cool. Right, right.
I
But
wish. I
I
wish I could have been Eve, you know? I
no
wouldn't have
doubt.
messed up. I
I mean,
wouldn't have
think
messed up.
no, but you think about that. God come walking in the cool of the garden every day. I mean, that would have been what
Nothing
else
better.
would you have wanted, right?
Right.
So, but
Nothing
yeah,
better.
right. I totally get it though. It is the science that's behind it and the love and the passion that it ends up bringing out of people who garden is amazing. So, so what are some of the things that you really like to grow? What are some of the favorites you have?
The favorites I have, I would have to say, I love to grow lots of like leafy greens. I love to grow like Swiss chard, for example, because Swiss chard is got to be like my favorite thing to grow because it grows in the winter and it grows in the summer. So I can grow Swiss chard and kale all year round. And those are two of my favorite things because my family eats those things.
Right.
and we love those things. So anything that my family loves to eat, if I can grow that successfully, then that's a favorite for me. So that's a win. Tomatoes, I love growing tomatoes, but like my family doesn't, they're not really big on tomatoes. So it's mostly just me with the tomatoes, unless I'm making like salsa or like pico de gallo or some type of like, something to go with it. Because we don't eat a lot of spaghetti. We try
Right.
not to eat a lot of carbs as it is. So we don't do a lot of pasta, but so I don't do a lot of spaghetti sauce, but I do salsa because we do a lot of, tacos and things like that. So
Right.
I'll do salsa or pico de gallo or just a tomato sandwich. I love tomato sandwiches, but like I said, the rest of my family's not so big on it. So I probably grow, I don't know, maybe like 8 tomato plants total in my garden. And I know some people are like, man, 8 tomato plants? I couldn't even decide what 8 tomato plants to grow. You know what I mean? Because some people will grow like 42 different tomatoes and they're like, I couldn't decide on eight. You just grow eight. so
Right.
so yeah. But I would love to grow more squash. But I have the worst success rate with squash because of all of the vine borers and like different things that just attack the. So this year it was the cucumber beetles. So the cucumber beetles wiped out all my squash and my cucumbers. So I
Oh,
got 0 cucumbers and I got maybe, I want to say 3 zucchini total and 1 yellow squash.
that's rough.
It is rough. It's
I
so
know.
bad because we
Right.
love squash. So yeah, it's hard. But my favorite things probably have to be the leafy greens because I can control a lot more with those, and my family eats all the leafy greens. So it's a
We
plus.
we like Swiss chard. We eat the Vulcan and the silver five collars, silver something another.
The
Uh,
silver beet or something like that.
yeah, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are
So
very good, and we love it too. I mean, Swiss chard around here, you can't grow enough of it. I'll have
yeah,
tons of it growing,
you
and
can eat
they
it. You can eat it cold. You can eat it hot. You can put it in smoothies. I can
yep,
put it in eggs. It's so versatile.
very, and it tastes really good. Like my neighbor's the one that turned me on to it because I'm like, he's like, you need to grow some Swiss chard, and for like 2 years he kept on saying, it. And I'm like, dude, I ain't growing. I'm not a rabbit. I'm not growing rabbit food. We grow squash, tomatoes, beans, peas. I,
Right.
I'm not growing rabbit food. And finally, he pushed me into it, and I'm like, all right, I'll try this out. And I was like, man, where have you been all my life? Now I
Yeah.
grow so much of it that he quit growing it because he knows he can just come up here and get it.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, but it's fun to grow. And around here, it slows down in the summertime. But I can literally, I've had plants that's grown over a year, and produced for over a year here, and it holds up pretty well in the wintertime here for us. So I like Swiss chard a lot. Um, I gotta ask, what mayonnaise are you putting on the sandwich? Are you putting Dukes on it?
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's the only kind. All right, that's the this is the only kind, people. All right,
Yeah, I do. I do with the Dukes on it. Yep. With the
so
yellow label, Dukes. Yep.
there you go. There you go. You heard it here first, people. And Dukes, if you listen, I need a sponsorship, Dukes. All right. I need a sponsorship. I got big tomatoes. I can make y'all famous.
Oh yes. I've
um,
seen your big fruits.
them thing like so Ari from Jalma, I think is how you pronounce it. Um, he came up here and he's got like 6.37 million followers.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so he came up here and I showed him the garden and everything, and we shared a really really big tomato, and everybody in the comment section on his video was like, "Oh my god, that tomato's so huge," and I'm like, "That was one of the little ones." Like I'm not trying to be cocky. I was just like,
Oh, okay. That's a little one.
that was like one of the baby ones, guys. Like so then I like put 2 videos up of 3 and 4 pound single bloom tomatoes, and they were like, "Oh crap, that is big," but um they're so much fun to grow. watching, tomatoes grow from something tiny to big, and then you can't control how big they'll get. You just hope that they get big, but it is fun to grow one that's as big as like, and then when you
Yeah,
that's fun. Um, the I did have a question though about the squash. So if you're having a lot of trouble with the vine borers and the cucumber beetles, um, have you looked into like using BT or any of that? Like
I do have diatomaceous earth that I use.
okay,
I'm not. I haven't gotten the BT. I don't like to use a lot of anything really. Like
I
I
don't
don't
either.
like to spray anything. If I can help it, I won't use anything. But it's really bad to the point where I can't. Like I saved my zucchini. I did like a whole surgery on it and actually saved it to the point where I got more zucchini out of it. So I cut the vine open, I dug the borers out, and then I wrapped it up with like some of that like tape that kind of adheres as
Oh yeah,
the stretchy like bandage tape that sticks to itself. So I
yep.
wrapped that all the way around the stem, and I was like, "We're gonna see if it works," and it worked. It worked, and I got more zucchini out of it. But by that time, the plant was a little, it was a lot weaker. So I probably got like one more off of it
What
before.
what about grafting your rootstock or graft it to gourd rootstock? So if like I know a lot of people who have troubles with diseases and pests, what they'll do is, especially in the giant growing community, is they'll take gourd rootstocks like rampart gourd, bushel gourd, something like that, and they'll graft watermelon to it or whatever, and
Really, I've not
yeah,
seen that.
yeah,
I've not seen that with cucurbits. I've not seen that.
yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
it helps a ton as far as like disease and pest pressures and stuff like that.
Okay.
Just grafting to like I said, rampart gourd, bushel gourd, any type of gourd, because those pests don't mess with gourds that much anyhow. Like they're
Right.
pretty,
Because
gourd.
the vine on the gourd is way too thick. It's
Right,
way too tough for them to penetrate. So they give up and they go on, they move on to something else that's a lot more softer and delicate.
right. And then I did notice this. So we don't. They say that there's vine borers here, but I've never seen one, and I've never had a problem with one in my patch. Um, but I do know like cucumber beetles are a huge problem here, and so
Oh,
like I was literally pulling flowers with 30 of them in the male blooms and
oh
throwing them
yeah.
out, them like like they were just in there having a crazy orgy party in my flowers, and I'm
It
like,
was so bad. It was
we're
so
not,
bad.
yeah, we're like,
Every
we're,
single flower, it was like every single flower you looked in,
yep,
they were in there. And it was not just one or two, it was a bunch of them.
yep. So I thought of one or two things. Either next year grow nothing but butternut, because when I grew the giant butternuts, I noticed there was no cucumber beetles in the flowers of the butternuts for some reason. I don't know why, but they weren't in there. Or take clear plastic, and because they lay their eggs in the soil, take clear plastic and cover it and cook them all. So like just leave it over all winter long and just cook them. Um, that's really the only options that I know of for me. But have you thought of any other ways to get, because that's a huge problem.
It is. I use neem oil when I have to drench the soil. So what I was doing with the cucumber beetles is every time I was having to pluck the flowers off, because like you said, they're in there and there's a ton of them in there. So there's no picking them out of the flower. You just have to pluck the flower off and smash it and, you know what I mean, destroy it. So I would have to constantly spray around the root area because, cucumber beetles, what they like to do is they like to go into the soil and then they spread a bacterial wilt and they
Mhm.
attack the roots of your plant.
Yep.
So by the time you realize that something's wrong, it's too late. They've
Right.
already infected your plant and there's no bouncing back from that. So once I knew that the plant was already infected, I just would go ahead and drench the soil around the plant with the neem oil because neem oil is pretty organic. It comes from a neem tree in India. So I consider it fairly safe. And the neem oil will will take care of the adult, the larva, and the egg. So I that's like my go-to when I need to actually do something about it. I just go to neem oil.
Okay. Have you seen the oh, it's like a neem it's neem oil, but it's not the oil, it's not a liquid. It's like a pelletized something or another. It's like coffee grounds or something that you can
Really?
put on. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't.
Let me see if I can find it here. It was like there was a company that reached out to me, and that's what it's called. It's called, like, you know how you got alfalfa meal and all these different types of meals, right? It's
Yeah.
neem meal is what it
Neem
is.
meal, huh?
Let me see here.
So does that come from like the bark of the tree or like the leaves of the tree?
Well, okay, so it's called neem seed meal.
Oh,
Uh,
it's from the seed. Okay.
yeah,
So
and
kind of like how you would grind up flaxseed, because
yeah,
there's flaxseed meal too. So
right,
if you had flaxseed, you would grind that up and make it into like a powder. So they do that then with the neem seed. They just grind it up and make into it like a powder, which is what they call a meal.
right. So platonic one that I was going to that's I was using their kelp meal and some other stuff.
Okay.
And I know their stuff works. I do know that. So I didn't end up using that. I ended up using their oil, not the meal, and it works good too. But I think that I want to try out the meal because if I till it in, broad fork it in, you know, um, there's going to be I would think there would be a longer lasting effect with the meal being in there than there would be me spraying the oil. So
Yeah.
maybe if I can get it worked into that first 3 inches, you know what I
How long do
mean?
you think how long do you think that would last before like worms and different, organisms in the soil would like eat that?
Heat
Do
it
you think
up.
they would eat that? Yeah,
I mean, I would venture to say you might get a month out of it at
probably
least.
about a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think probably depending on how much you put in there.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
Because
like a once a month maybe application of some
right.
sort like that.
Yep. Yep. Because how I would do it would be till it in, like, or broad fork it in, working into the first 3 inches of soil. Um, you'd have to make sure you're not going to be messing with your pH and different things in your soil too. But
Right.
work it into the first 3 inches and then apply like at least once a month just around the plants, you know. So
Yeah.
I mean that should be all you need to for cucumber beetles. I mean, I'm sure if you got some spider mites or something, you're still gonna have to spray neem oil, but for things that are going
Things that are in the soil.
right,
Yeah.
so I mean, I
That's
would
a
think that
good
care of
idea.
it, but
So do you have a lot of pest pressure in the soil at all?
so the only thing that I know that we got really bad is the cucumber beetles.
The
Like,
cucumber beetle.
yeah, them things are devastating here. Um, right before the frost last week, I did see that I had some spider mites and stuff, but
Mm.
other that's nothing really. They always come at late fall or well early fall, and so that wasn't too bad. But frost killed everything, so that was good.
Do you get Japanese beetles where you're at?
I do early in the year, and they usually wipe my green beans out. Like, I'll be out there planting green beans like crazy, and I'll get them
Yeah.
coming up, and you go out there next day and they're gone. It's like, who ate my green beans? And you go and you plant them again, and they come up, they're gone again. It's like, who keeps eating my green beans? Like, out there looking for a rabbit or a squirrel or
Right.
something, you know, because I really don't see them a lot. Like, you don't here you won't I don't see a bunch of them, right? So evidently they're going and getting them and wiping them out before I see them. And once I get my plants up and big, like especially green beans, like then you'll start to see them, and they'll be breeding on the plants and stuff, and I'll be out
Uh-huh.
there picking them off and squishing them, and yeah, I hate Japanese beetles, but that for a long time I would be planting green beans and they'd come up and I'd be like, yeah, they're up, and you'd get them first set of cotyledons, and I'd go out there the next day, look at them, and they're gone. And I'm like, where did they go? Where did they go? Where did these things go? Like all you see is the stems. And I'm like, what the heck?
Oh man.
So yeah, I finally figured out what it was. So now what I do is I'll go out there and I'll put either DE on it, or I will, put what is the other stuff I use? It's not neem oil, it's something.
Somebody told me to use, because they go on my grape.
Spinosad. I use spinosad.
Yeah, the copper. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Somebody told me to use that because they attack my grape leaves. My
yeah,
grape
they'll, yep, they'll
they
get
like
this year
decimate.
it wasn't as bad. It wasn't that bad this year for them though, because the grapes did good, and like the beans got wiped out twice before I remembered again. Oh yeah, you gotta do this.
Yeah.
So, but it was like super early because I didn't think it, because I'd planted beans like back in April this year, which is super early for me because I usually never plant them till into May, beginning of June. But it was so warm that I went on ahead and planted them in April, and that wasn't even on my radar thinking about Japanese beetles, but they were already out and stuff. So they got me twice, and then I was like, oh yeah, I gotta spray. So as soon as I seen them come up, I put some DE out and then
So the
sprayed.
Japanese beetles are another one that that breed in the ground. That's why I
Right.
thought about Japanese beetles, because that would be another pest or pestilence or whatever you want to call it that probably would benefit from that neem meal if you put it like wherever you're going to plant your beans, or like around your grapevines and whatnot.
Okay. That would work too then.
I think that's a good idea.
I'm going to check it out, and I'm going to try it out this winter and just see what it does this winter, like out in the greenhouse. I mean, I don't know how much pest I'll have in the greenhouse, but if it's
Right.
warm, like it was last year, I'll have some, so I'll be able to see some effects on it and see what it does out there. But yeah, it's always interesting to try to figure out a new way of using a product and maximizing it and stuff, because like I said, there's no way of getting around pests, and there's no way of getting around disease. You have to learn how to deal with it in an effective way without messing up the soil and hurting yourself in the process. All these. So I didn't know any better back in 2021 and 2022. I knew imidacloprid was pretty strong stuff, and Eagle 20, for powdery mildew and stuff, was pretty strong stuff and would cause cancers, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
so does Roundup, and now I'm out there spraying Roundup,
Oh
uh,
no.
right, and I'm like, hate weeds, just spray the Roundup, and so then I'm like, hang on a minute, this stuff, it's causing cancer.
Right.
Maybe I should look into some of this stuff. So I started researching Eagle 20 and imidacloprid, and then I'm like, oh crap, it gets in the soil, it stays in the soil. Like, it might not be affecting the plants like
Yeah.
it's meant to. Like, if you drench imidacloprid, it only has a shelf life for that plant for like a month or something like that, but the chemicals that was in it still is in the ground.
Yeah.
Like it's not going anywhere. It's right there. So then I'm like, you know what? This maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe I should just make the soil happy and healthy. And so then I started talking to this older guy who's growing like 17-pound tomatoes, like the size of a basketball, right? And
Yeah.
he's like, you know, if your soil's healthy, you won't have any pest pressure. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, because if the soil's healthy, then your plant's healthy. And if your plant's healthy, then the pests don't touch a healthy plant. The only pests that touch a plant is an unhealthy plant, because they're sent to break the plant down. So even though you think the plant looks good and looks healthy, and
Right.
it might look good, it's got some sort of disease or something going on, and it's not a healthy plant. And that's why the bugs are attacking it. He was like, also, if you raise your bricks level up on the plant, it makes the cell walls thicker, and they don't want to bite it because it's like chewing a brick. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hold on, dude. Like, tell me
Right.
more. I'm all ears. So last year and this year, I got away from all that stuff. Like I quit spraying.
Yeah.
I started adding loads of organic matter into the soil, growing cover crop while trying to grow pumpkin plants. Like I grew a cover crop ahead of my pumpkin plants,
Where'd
and
you go?
turnips, purple top turnips, and daikon radishes. Um,
Oh,
I wanted to grow some sort of mustard ahead of them too, to kind of like get a biofumigant in there as well. But I didn't get it out in time, because I was
yeah.
like, it was like the seeds came. I had the turnip seeds and the radish seeds came first, and then the mustard seeds came like a week later. And by that time, I already had like really, really thick coverage. And I was like, I'm not going to go out there and throw the mustard in because it'll just stick to the
Right.
leaf and won't hit the ground. So I just left it alone. The only problem with trying to grow pumpkins and cover crop at the same time is if you get rain when you need to be out there flipping the cover crop under ahead of the plant, you,
Yeah.
you can't do it. And then when it dries out enough for you to do it, the plants are too big, and the pumpkin plants have then grown over top of the cover
Right.
crop. And so that is kind of messy. And I've made a very, very bad mistake this year with that. But I learned that one way or another, whether there's rain or there's not, you better flip the cover crop under ahead of that pumpkin plant. Like even if you got to get out there and
And
get
do it
some
by hand.
right, you better do it because like I literally had because at that time the all the plants were popping. All like the cover crop was shooting, 5-6 inches a
Yeah.
day. The pumpkin vines were growing 12 inches in any direction a day, and
It
it
was
became
perfect weather. It was perfect growing conditions.
right, and it was a bad mess, like really fast. It got out of control really, really quick. I'm like, oh, well, I messed up this year, but I did. The old timer did say because I made a post about it on Facebook. He did say that's how you do it. Like not how I messed up, but that I was right in what I was thinking and how I was doing it. I just kind of fumbled
The
this year.
timing was a little bit off. That's all.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So definitely we'll do it again next year. I will put the mustard in for the biofumigant. I did notice that the plants didn't have any powdery mildew this year from it. So
Okay.
I'm wondering because I did end up going in there and knocking it all down. Rather, I had to go in there and just cut the tops off of the turnips and the radishes and leave them lay, or I went in there and went ahead of the rest of the plant and got it all down. I did do that, but I'm wondering if where there was that layer of protection between the soil and not that powdery mildew comes from up from the soil like splashing up like on a tomato plant, but I'm wondering if where there was that layer between the plant and the soil, if maybe there wasn't as much humidity or something there because you know what I
Because
mean? Where
of the crop.
right. And
Right.
so because there wasn't that humidity, then the powdery mildew couldn't grow because powdery mildew likes damper like
Well,
conditions.
there's also downy mildew.
Right, right. And it's kind of like a
So,
reddish looking.
yeah, downy
And I didn't
mildew.
have any of that either.
So that's good. Yeah, because downy mildew will go. It'll spread through water from plant to plant and all over
Okay.
your leaves. So, unlike powdery mildew, downy mildew spreads through water. So,
Okay.
if you have a little bit of downy mildew on your plants and then it rains, it can essentially spread that all over your plants because if you haven't treated it yet.
Right.
But you probably did very well with that cover crop in creating like a different microclimate between your plant and the soil. So that little space there that you had that cover crop was taking up that space. So it was doing something there. So you were onto something.
I think you're right because all the plants were like I said they were doing great. All right, so anybody who grows pumpkins knows you got all the area that's covered only by the leaves because the
Right.
vine is going to be this some of them's this big, some of them get as big as my arm, and then you got all the secondaries that are about that big around.
Hmm.
But there's all that space in between that isn't covered. It's just soil. There's nothing, it's bare. And the only thing covering it is these big leaves.
Big leaves.
Right. And that's not covering the soil. You know what I mean? That's just shading the soil, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to figure out how to do a couple of things when I did that, because my thought process was, if I cover crop it now, my cover crop will do better in the fall, winter. I'm trying to break through this nasty clay that I got, and shell, and trying to bust it all up. You get 6 inches down and it's so thick, dense clay, you can't do anything with it. So send them daikon radishes down in there, let them bust it up, do their
Right.
thing, right? Let them rot right there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That void, create that air pocket. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let the worms go down in there and do what
Right.
they do.
Exactly. The other part of it that I was thinking is, let's cover the crop, not shade it with the canopy of the pumpkin plant. Let's actually cover it. Let's feed all that, because here's the thing: I'm putting tons of mycorrhiza into that soil.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're not going to live unless there's roots.
Right. There's got
So
to be beneficial organisms and bacteria in there.
right,
Otherwise, mycorrhiza is not going to live.
exactly. So if I'm putting all that, azos and mycos in there, and lactobacillus is in there, all right, but my root zone from that pumpkin plant, every taproot is only 2 foot, 3 foot wide. I've got all
Mm-hmm.
this other space that, or gaps in there where the pumpkin plant doesn't have roots at. I need that gap filled. Or if the plant's just starting out, if I've got the cover crop ahead of it, I've got those colonies actively living,
Absolutely.
and my roots from the pumpkin plant grows into those. You know what I mean?
Right. So
So,
they've already set up, they've already got a network going on of the soil food.
right,
And once your pumpkin roots get established, they can just tap right into that soil food web and just keep on.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that was all kind of like my thought process into doing that. It just kind of backfired on me a little bit, but I mean, it's good. I still come up with
It still worked. It still
yeah,
worked.
still had 1,017 pound pumpkin and a 1,400 and some pound pumpkin, and
Right.
a 500 and 600 pound pumpkins. So I mean, I still did. I had 14 total, so I still did good. But it's those things, trying to figure out little things like that. The science of it, it's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. It is. It's so interesting
It
to
is,
know how it all works together.
absolutely. So what's some of the things, the challenges you face growing up there outside of the pests and stuff?
Um, Probably the short growing season that I have. So I'm in Indiana, obviously, and I only have, I think my growing season's probably like 170 days, maybe, give or
Oh,
take. So if I have, if I put some things out there to start early, or if I winter sow, or like I just recently got another greenhouse because I had an awesome greenhouse. I had fortified it. I was like it was the best. It was nice and secure, and I had double layered it. It was absolutely amazing. And then I made a huge mistake and I left it open, and it was so windy that day, and it didn't come out of the ground at all. It didn't move out of the ground, but the whole thing just bent over because it was so windy that day. And I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I left it open. So that was, yeah, I had to take it out. It was too bent up. So I finally, just like last week, um, got another greenhouse. So I put it up, and so I'm excited to start, growing in the greenhouse again. But that's probably like one of the biggest challenges is trying to squeeze in things because my growing season is so short. And I do like the pop over greenhouses. I've got, like I said, I just bought like a big greenhouse now. The winter sowing. I don't like to do a lot of seed starting. I know myself. Okay. I'll let them dry out and be like, oh no, now I have to start over again. I got grow lights downstairs. I got the whole setup, but I will not keep up with starting seeds in the house. I don't know why. I just will not. So I have to direct sow everything. So when I'm thinking about what I'm going to direct sow, I'm direct sowing as early as I can. I mean, I'm direct sowing like 12, 8 weeks before my frost is done. You know what I mean? 8 weeks
Right.
before my last frost date, I'm out there sowing seeds already. Like it's like as soon as I can sow the seeds, I'm sowing them. Cause like spinach, radish, like peas, even things
Yep.
like that, they can take cold temperatures down to like 28 degrees.
Right.
So I mean, I can get those things out there. If I can get those seeds out there direct sowed, then they'll come up on their own when it's time for them to come up, and I'll have things coming up early. But I have to like get in right where the timing window is. And if I don't time it just right, then it's like, okay, so I can't plant that now in spring because my spring is like it'll be spring for like a week and then all of a sudden bam,
Summer.
it's summer. So then everything I planted just bolted like within a day or 2 days. It's like it's a tiny plant and it's like, oh yes, it's starting to come up. And then like 2 days later it's bolting because it's like 80 degrees in March. It's like, are you
Yep.
kidding me right now?
That's my
So
cilantro every year.
yes. So it's like it's hard to like time it to where you can grow a spring crop and it's like, okay, well, that's a wash. So we're going to have to put that on the back end and grow that in the fall instead. So it's
Right.
like fall is my spring because things don't grow for me in spring fast enough to where I can get something out of them before they bolt, especially like the Asian greens and stuff like that. Oh man, if I
Yeah.
don't
Bok choy
harvest
and
them,
stuff.
yes, if I don't harvest that stuff like soon as leaves start coming out of it, it's like I can blink and they're bolting.
So my bok choy and the oh, what's them other ones? There's like 4 or
Oh,
5
there's a
different.
ton of them, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
pak choy, there's bok choy, there's the Mishahili cabbage.
Yeah,
Um, there's all types of them. Even the mustards, like the mustards will bolt on me.
that's crazy. Cause down here, well, I grow all the green stuff at the front of the house, so after midday, it starts getting shaded,
Hmm.
so it don't like, I don't get full sun
I
up
have
there,
zero
and
shade in my garden.
oh, that sucks. That's
Zero shade in my garden. I
that
mean
sucks.
zero. It's like out there and it's all the way open. There's no tree over it. There's nothing. It's
That's
totally when the sun comes up and when the sun goes down, it's on the garden.
oh,
So
man.
I have to have like these big shade cloths and everything.
The
Unless I go
garden
in a pot.
or what?
If I go in a pot, then I can move it around.
There you go. Yeah, or put you like a little raised bed where there's shade at half the day or something.
Right, right.
But that's what I started doing, like, because I wanted lettuces and stuff like that all summer. Because my thing was, is how am I going to have like tomatoes without
Salad.
lettuce? Right? You know what I mean? This. Yeah, I'm not going
It
to go to the
makes no sense.
right. Like I want this stuff, and you don't want to grow. So then I'm like, okay, how do I grow it? So I'm like, well, I guess I have to go to the front of the house and plant all the greens at the front of the house, and
Yeah.
then the other stuff in the back. Because in the back gets full sun pretty much all day, but the front doesn't. Because like I said, once it's afternoon, it starts to get shaded out. So that's what I did, and it works out really good. But yeah, I get the same thing, like starting to bolt like cilantro every year, even in the shade. My cilantro bolts. I even get the slow bolt cilantro and it bolts. So I think
Yes.
I think I'm done with cilantro. I don't know the secret to it, but there's got to be something
Cilantro
because
loves it cold. So you can grow
it
cilantro.
does.
My cilantro will grow like fall through winter. But once the
Really.
spring comes and it starts to get hot, bolting. And then I've got 1,000 seeds. But I
Right.
just let them fall. I just let them fall and reseed themselves
I do
because
the same thing.
I
I
don't
do
even
this.
want to be bothered with planting it. Just let
No.
them seed fall, and when it grows, it grows.
And the thing is we eat a ton of cilantro here. Like pico de
Yeah.
gallo we put it in pico de gallo, we put it in salsa, we put it in all kinds of stuff,
Yep.
and a ton of it, and I can't grow it because it's aggravating. So
You can't grow
I,
enough of it. And then
I'm
the
like,
seeds, it's crazy because the seeds, they don't produce a big plant. So you
no,
have to plant a ton of seeds to get a ton of cilantro.
right.
Because one or two seeds is not going to do it. It's not going to be
Nope,
enough.
no, you a whole pack,
You
you know?
need it. Yes, you need a couple packs.
Right, exactly. And then let them all go to seed and save all those,
Right.
and then let those go to seeds and save all those seeds in order to plant
Yep.
some. It's so frustrating.
Like I got a whole bag of cilantro seeds right here.
Oh, you do got a pile of
Yeah.
them. Yeah, that's a lot of cilantro seeds.
And there's more outside.
Oh man. So, but like, it. I don't even. Where does it grow from? Where is it like South America? Ain't that where it's from?
Yeah.
From?
Yeah. Mexico, South America. So I don't even understand how it grows there because
That's
it's
what I'm
so hot
saying.
there.
It
It's
grow down
so
there.
hot
It must be on top of a mountain somewhere that's just
somewhere.
freezing cold all summer long or something. Because
It's crazy because cilantro loves it cold.
it does. I'm gonna have
It
to
can
grow.
take some cold weather too. Some freezes. If cilantro can take some freezes.
Yeah, that's something that's always been weird to me is how some plants like radishes and beets and stuff. They're just like, oh, it's cold. Let's stretch out and grow, And I'm like, what in the world? Like you ain't
Yeah.
want to grow all year. It's been perfect weather to grow, and you ain't did nothing. Now all of a sudden, I got a beet out there. It's probably 30 pounds right now. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And it didn't really grow all summer. It started getting cold and frosting. Man, it's got leaves growing. It's got new
Yeah.
nuts growing everywhere, and it's done swelled like 3 or 4 inches. And I'm like, now you want to grow. It's
Yeah.
cold, it's nasty, and everything's dying, and now you want to grow. Okay. Well, do your thing, buddy. Do your thing. You know,
Right.
crazy stuff.
It's
So
just because of the makeup of the plant and like the cellular walls in the plant. All the plants have different cellular walls. So when it gets really cold and it starts freezing, and some plants will freeze and then turn to like mush, and
right.
it's because they've frozen and now their cellular walls have busted because it expanded. So now that plant is pretty much done. But other plants makeup is different, so they don't have those same cellular walls. So when they freeze, the cellular walls don't expand the same way, and they can withstand a freeze or a frost or it being really cold like that.
Some people say that like nature's antifreeze that's inside of them. You know what I mean? Like you ever
Yeah.
heard, you know? And it's like, well, I wish we could get other things that have natural antifreeze in them. Maybe we should,
Right.
like, because
That'd be lovely
right,
to go be able to grow like peppers all year round.
right,
I mean,
pepper,
some
tomato.
places they are. Some places peppers are like trees. They're
Oh no,
perennial.
yep. Down
So
in like the Caribbean, they got pepper trees down there.
pepper trees,
Yeah,
yes, they're trees.
it's
They're like, oh,
crazy.
you have a pepper plant? I have a pepper tree.
Right. Yeah. Look at this thing.
Like,
It's been here
that's
for
cute.
20
That's a
years.
cute plant. Mine's a
Yeah.
tree that I've
Yeah.
had for 20 years. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
We've been pruning it like an apple tree.
right, must be nice.
Yeah, no doubt. But what's some of the practices that you have up there to making sure that your plants are getting what they need, like from your soil all the way through growing?
I use a lot of organic matter. Always, always, always. I always like to take advantage of all of my free resources. So, coffee grounds, leaves, grass clippings. We don't treat our grass, so my grass is perfectly, you know, fine the way it is, organic. We don't even rake leaves. When the leaves fall, we mow them, and that's it. That feeds our grass. So when you see everyone pushing all their leaves to the end of the driveway and bagging them all up, it's like, what are you doing? Like,
Give
why
them to
would you
me.
want to do that? Why would you want to do it? And yeah, you could
Right.
drop them off at my house. I'd gladly take all your leaves.
Yep.
So yeah, leaves definitely. This year I went and I just picked up 4 bales of straw. So I'm going to use that to insulate around my greenhouse. I actually got 2 new beds that I'm filling. So I'm using all of my spent soil out of my grow pots that I used this year. I had like grow pots and grow bags and things like that because it was an attempt to try to dodge the pests. I was like, well, maybe if I grow in containers this year, it'll be fine. No, it wasn't fine. They still got me. So it was like, whatever. So yeah, I just try to use all of the natural resources that I can before I spend money on anything. And most times, the only thing I probably spend money on is maybe like bone meal, or I rarely buy blood meal because what I do is I just use the comfrey leaves, or I'll make like a comfrey extract to water plants with. I use like instead of a compost tea, because I don't do like the whole bubbler system thing. I will do like a compost extract.
Okay.
So I will put like all the weeds in the bucket and let them only steep for, a few hours. I'm not going to put them in the bucket and forget about them for a week because then they start to stink. And I don't want that. But I will put the leaves in a bucket and maybe let them sit from like, overnight. And then by the next day, I'm using all of that. I'm straining it out. I'm taking all those leaves out, putting them back in the compost or whatever, because it's usually 9 times out of 10, it's going to be like um, the thistles that grow in the yard. Those things pop up like crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly pulling those out and I'll throw them in the bucket and then make like a weed extract out of it. I use that to water with. I used to have rabbits just for the manure, and then I lost my rabbits, but I still have bags of rabbit manure. So I still use that. I did get some worm castings, so I use those. What else? I think that's probably it. Oh, and then of course I make my own compost. So my county gives free compost.
That's cool.
So as long as you can go and shovel it yourself, it's free. If you want them to load it into like the back of your truck, it's like $20. So it's not a big deal. But
Right.
they test it. They give you the results, like it's been tested. They don't take grass clippings, so you know that it's like not anyone's treated grass or anything like that that's in there. Mostly they just take like the branches and trees and things like that, like that have been clipped or pruned. People will put that out, and leaves. So it's basically leaf mulch, is what it is.
Okay.
And it's like mounds and mounds of leaf mulch that my county just collects everything and they make mulch and compost every year. So I get tons of compost from the county. I do my own compost. I've got the rabbit manures. I've got the, free resources, coffee grounds, just anything and everything organic that I can get my hands on pretty much.
Right. I wish I lived up there because I'm paying $300 a truckload for compost.
Ooh,
Yeah. I would
yeah,
gladly pay $20 to fill my truck
yeah,
up. You know what I mean?
absolutely. They come in with a big bulldozer with a loader, scoop it up, and just drop it right in your truck.
Yeah, I
20
would.
bucks.
I wish. Man, maybe I should move up
Nice.
there.
And then chip drop. I did chip drop a couple times. That's free, where they come and they drop a whole load of wood chips for you. Um,
Really?
yeah, for free. The city will do that. You can't like pick what kind of wood chips they are, so you don't have any control over like what kind of trees they are, or sometimes there might be a few big branches in there, but I'm not worried about that. That stuff,
Right.
I put it all back there by the compost pile, and it'll eventually break down.
Yep.
It's all organic matter anyway, so I'm not worried about
That
that.
I get the tree every once in a while to come bring me a few loads of stuff. Like
Hmm.
if they're in the area and they have a lot of big jobs and they're going to fill their trucks up fast, I'll just
Hmm.
have to drive however far you got to drive to go to your dump spot. Just bring it here in the yard and dump it here, and I'll make biochar out of it. I'll make
Yeah.
compost. It like, yeah, I love doing that. My wife don't like it too much because I messed the yard all up. But hey, yeah,
He's like, that's how my husband is. He's like, you're not getting another load of wood chips, are you? No, I'm not getting another load of wood chips. One season I got two trucks in one season. I was like, well, the first one wasn't enough.
See,
That was,
my
that was
thing
like
is,
when I had freshly rearranged the whole garden. So I had laid out all wood chips, and then I needed another shipment.
see, I tried to pitch this idea that if you let me take the entire acre and turn it into a food forest, the wood chips will cover all the grass and there'll be no more grass to mow. And it'll be nothing but fruit and vegetables growing everywhere.
Right.
That didn't work.
You can have like a mini orchard and yeah,
Exactly.
all the things
Yeah. And she said, "Where's the kids going to play?" I said, "In the fruit forest."
in the orchard.
Hey, didn't work. So I tried. I tried. But so you're making compost extracts and doing all these things organically. Um, do you add any beneficials in there like the mycorrhizas and the azos and stuff, or do you just get
Nope.
that naturally through?
Yep, I just let it. I let the fungi and all of that stuff because because I got the wood chips, I get the mushrooms. They grow, so I know there's plenty of fungi in there. So I know that's in there, and as long as that's in there, then I know that the other things, they're going to come along with the leaves I've got tons of worms. And then when I go to the compost site and I shovel the compost, I'm always looking for the worms in the compost too. So it's always loaded with tons of like red wigglers, and I take all those beautiful red wigglers home with me.
There
And they
you go.
go right in my garden and they continue to do their wonderful works in my garden and in my soil.
That's right. So do you get coffee grounds for free?
Yes, I can. I actually work at a coffee shop.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I get the coffee grounds from there, and then I have a local coffee shop down the street. I can just call them and say, "Hey, I plan on coming by the end of the day. Can you start collecting some coffee grounds for me, and I'll pick them up?" And they always do. So one time I came home and I had about I don't know, it's about 30 pounds of coffee grounds.
Really?
I was like, yes, but I
That's
love it. I love it.
so like if we went to like if I went to Starbucks, maybe I could get them from there.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know if Dunkin' does it anymore because the one by me doesn't do it anymore. The Dunkin', I don't know what their excuse was, and I don't know if it's every Dunkin', it might just be this one, but Dunkin' stopped doing it. But I know Starbucks does do it.
Cool. I'll have to go check it out because I definitely want coffee grounds.
Yeah,
So
give them a call like in the morning and be like, hey, if I stop by at the end of the day, can you guys start saving some coffee grounds for me? And then sometimes you have to actually, like make a reservation because there's other people that are calling and wanting coffee grounds too. So
really,
yeah, like at my Starbucks over here, I would have to call and be like, hey, do you have anybody, waiting for coffee grounds? And they're like, no, we don't have anybody yet. So I'd be like, okay, well then put me down. I'm gonna come in later to get the coffee grounds. And they're like, okay, we got you down. So
cool.
it's like you got to get in where you fit in.
Right? Like how much can you get from one day from them? Like
I got like a huge garbage bag full
really?
because like I mean, if you think about it, they have a garbage can right next to where they're brewing coffee, and that's all that goes in there. It's constantly all day dumping coffee grounds, dumping the coffee out. So that whole garbage can gets filled up. When they're ready to take it out, they just tie it up and they set it to the side. And then I come and I get that whole garbage bag full of coffee grounds.
That's cool. Yeah, I
And
definitely
it's a lot, and it's the filters in there with it. So not only is it the coffee grounds, but it's the paper and it's the filter too. So that
right.
adds to it.
Yep. That's cool. I'm gonna definitely have to call them up then because I want some
Hmm.
coffee grounds. I don't make enough coffee grounds, you know.
Yeah.
So we definitely need some more. Use eggshells, I guess, too.
Oh yeah, eggshells, banana peels. I do the banana water. All of the food scraps in the house, as long as there's no seeds in them, like the cores from the peppers, I will just to dispose of those, but like anything else, like the ribs and stuff like that, I tossed all that in the compost pile or the compost bucket because I have like 2 or 3 buckets that I use inside the house that I will add scraps to. Like, and then once they get full, like I'll set it in the sunroom and then start another one. And then when I get them, like, and it's like, oh, okay, now I'm running out of buckets. So let me go dump all these buckets, rinse them out, and then start using them again. So,
So
yeah.
do you have like a tumbler outside that you compost in, or just a compost
I
pile?
have um I have 2 bays that I set up with pallets. So one bay is for the finished and one bay is for the uh, working compost. And
Okay.
this year, I think I might do something a little bit different. I might just do like I saw it on Gary Pilarchik's channel, how he had set up a compost pile with just leaves and grass, and only the core had the grass in it, and everything around it was leaves. So the core would heat up, and the
Mm,
outside would stay fairly cool. And what that would do was that would attract worms to the compost pile all winter long, and they could stay it like they could get into the pile and not like because the middle be too hot but the outside is too cold, so they would have like a median zone where they could stay at just the right temperature and continue to
work.
do the work. Yeah. So I
That's
was like,
cool.
yeah, I was like, so yeah, I think I might try that. And he started a pile, and then within the next day, his pile was like 170 degrees. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I need to be doing that. Like the
Right.
core, just the core. Like, don't just pile it all up and mix it all up. Only put the grass clippings and leaves mixture in the core, and then all of the outer is just leaves. So
Okay.
I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna see how it goes this year.
Yeah, that's
Another
interesting.
thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the alfalfa pellets to amend my beds before winter comes. That way that it can get all worked in
Right.
and be ready by spring.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I know I usually put them in the springtime when I amend. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to go out there and you got to wash it down. Well, not wash it, but spray it down, and so they get
Yeah.
break down, and then takes for like by the time they're broke down and doing anything,
Mm-hmm.
half the summer's done went over. So why my thing is when I send a soil test off and I send it to a person to put it in the calculator, and they do like to tell me what amounts of everything I need to put in and how many pounds per 1,000 square foot, and you're telling me put alfalfa pellets or whatever other type of pellets that I end up putting in. um well, those aren't being worked, like they're getting in the soil, yeah, but they're not contributing anything till way after the fact, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely put them in now. That
Yeah.
way,
They can
springtime,
start breaking down.
right? So that there's so many different things. Like if people legitimately sit back and think about this, gardening is literally year round. You literally
It
garden.
is. It
You're
is.
you're not just growing. Growing might just be for the season, but gardening, you're having to check the soil, you're having to amend the soil, work the soil, cover crop it, whatever. You're having to stay ahead of everything before you put those
Absolutely.
plants in. It's so much work that goes in. It's 24/7, literally 365
Yeah.
when you're serious about it. If you really want to be serious about it and
Because you
you're
have to prep for everything.
everything.
And it's time consuming. It doesn't
So
happen overnight.
no,
It takes time for those things to work together and to create the atmosphere and the environment that you need it to be. So you got to start way ahead of time to get to that point to when you're ready to plant, your soil is ready to receive those plants.
that's right. Absolutely right. And like I said, a lot of people don't think of it that way. They think, oh, it's springtime. Let's put some plants in the ground, and then they go out and they put their little plants in the ground and they're like, oh, well, little plants aren't doing very well, and I don't know why.
Now they run out and grab Miracle Grow and they're drenching their plants with Miracle Grow and they're watching them get like real big and green, and it's like, oh yes, that was what it needed.
No.
That's not what it
If
needed.
only they knew what Miracle Grow was doing to that soil.
Right.
The amount of heavy metals that were going into there, the amount of salt that was going into there, you're literally killing the soil. Like
Absolutely.
just trashing it. Like the plant looks great, but you're
You're right.
trashing. You know,
Right.
I call the blue stuff crack for plants. You know, because that's I mean, they go nuts when you feed it to them. But
Yeah,
I mean,
because they got
it's
to fix. They just got to
right,
fix. But then
right.
when the fix wears off, they need another fix
Yep,
because
and
there's nothing in the soil to give them the fix. So
exactly. It's wild that we haven't taught how to actually garden, and that we've allowed people to think that it's so simple to just go out here and grab a box of Miracle Grow and put it on there, and oh, there it is, you know. And we've not taught it in schools. We've not taught it to people who don't know better. We've just, oh,
right,
you're a gardener, cool. You know, we don't ask anything after that. You know, well, what are you using? What are you doing? And I think as part of being in this small community of people who are trying to get away from that kind of gardening, right? To where
yeah,
it's not about the plants growing, it's about the soil growing first. And then the plants, as long as you feed the soil and you take care of the soil, the plants have no choice but to do their thing. You know what I
right,
mean? If we're really worried about what's in our soil and all the biology in it and the nutrients in it, we can put anything in that soil and it will take off and grow like crazy. You know,
yeah.
and it will literally
It'll
they
have everything it needs.
yeah, exactly. And it will make you look like you have a green thumb that is like no other, like you got the Hulk green thumb, right? But
Right,
I mean, it really isn't anything that we're doing. We just took care of the soil and put we just fed it, you know,
right.
and then it takes care
And
of our
that's
plants.
part of being a good steward of the land.
Right.
Your purpose is to be a good steward of the land. Take care of the land, and the land will take care of you.
Absolutely.
So, and people don't know, like kids don't grow up knowing where their food comes from. They
Nope.
don't grow up knowing how, what the work it took, what, to put into getting that food.
Right.
It's at the grocery store and you've got the convenience of going and buying it, but you don't know how much work it took to get it there, how much, it took a farmer to grow that and successfully have a harvest, because nowadays it's like these natural disasters are wiping out crops. So
Everything.
you don't know, you know what I mean? Sometimes you're taking a gamble, like, am I going to have corn this year or are we going to get flooded? Am I going
Right.
to have corn this year or are we going to have drought? Am I
Yep.
going to have a good watermelon harvest or are we going to get flooded?
Yep.
It's like you don't know. And then when things get flooded out or hurricanes come or tornadoes or whatever it might be, now your whole crop is gone. And
Yep.
it's like, that was my money. That was where I was supposed to make my money. I'm supposed to be, living off this land and making my money and feeding my family from what I'm selling.
Right.
People don't grow up knowing the the work that it takes to
They
grow the
don't.
food, the work that it takes, and the importance of being a good steward of the land, not just throwing these crops down, depleting. It's like you got a bank account and you keep making withdrawals, but
Yep.
you're never making any deposits. So
Yeah.
where are these withdrawals coming from? Eventually, you're going to run out of a supply and you can't make any more withdrawals.
That's
So
right.
you have to make a deposit in order to make a withdrawal. So it's the same thing with your soil. You have to constantly deposit into that soil so that you can make your withdrawals when the time comes.
Absolutely. And that's a great way to put it, because too often farmers, you know, and I'm not trying to bash farmers, but they deplete the soil. They look for GMOs that
Right.
are easy to grow, that don't need a whole lot of fertilizer or whatever, you know. I mean, if you look at some of the statistics that's out there on homegrown tomatoes versus store bought tomatoes and the nutrient density of those store bought tomatoes versus the ones homegrown or
It's really
corn,
sad.
it's sad. And the reason why is because there's nothing in those soils that are at the stores. I mean, thank God for the farmers that's putting the food in there. But here's the thing: if all I'm getting is a tomato, then what am I getting? Because if
Right.
there's nothing in it for me, if there's no nutrients in there for me, I might as well just drink water and eat air. You know?
Right.
I mean, there's got to be some nutrition in there, and there's not. I mean, there is, but not compared to what you would get at home.
Right.
And the reason for that is because there's nothing in the soil. They're not making those deposits in the soil. They've made constant withdrawals. They've used a lot of fertilizers like Miracle Grow, okay, which contaminate with heavy.
Chemical, chemical fertilizers.
Yep, and it contaminates with heavy metals. It puts a lot of salt into the soil, which salt is okay to a point, but you get too much of it in there, and plants don't want to grow.
At
Um,
all.
and you have all these problems, and then you wonder why America is the way it is. We have such bad
And
diseases and obesities and all these other things.
another thing is like our country is so bad with food. Like we're probably the only country that doesn't have any type of regulations on what goes into our food.
I know.
Like
Go
other
look at the
countries,
UK, right? The UK versus us.
you can't get away with that stuff. Like
No,
if your ketchup says anything else besides tomatoes and X, Y, and Z, then it's not going on the shelf. And no, you're
right?
not selling that here. But our stuff, if you look at the back, you can't even pronounce half of the things that are in our
Yeah,
food. And it's like, why do we need all of that?
we
When did
don't.
we get so far away from, you know, actual food in our food that, you know what I mean? We can't even pronounce the things that are in our food.
What?
Everything is so preserved. Like,
Yep.
why do we have to preserve everything so long? You know what I mean? Like, why do we have to put so
Right.
many preservatives and everything?
Exactly. Well, it's just there's a couple of things to this. So Miracle Grow has all the heavy metals in it because when they do certain things with different items that they're making, they have these leftover things, right? So they don't know what to do with it. So what do? They sell it to Miracle Grow to turn it into fertilizer, which is their heavy metals. Well, it's the same thing when we put these preservatives in our food, right? It's a byproduct of something else we've made. It's a waste that we didn't know what to do with it. Well, let's turn it into a preservative and spray it on the cereal or put it in the ketchup or
Right.
whatever and turn it into a preservative. And then that's how you get the money out of the byproduct that was waste at one time. And that's what they've done.
Yep.
Um, and so there's no reason why we need preservatives that long because nothing like as much as Americans eat and consume, there's no reason that things need to they're not
Absolutely.
going to stay on the shelf that long. They're not.
Absolutely. It's
Right.
not. It's not. That stuff is moving. That stuff is moving and being consumed faster than you
Exactly.
can make it. So why are you have to preserve it so fast? You know what I mean?
You
So long.
have to.
Why do I need a 3 year shelf life for anything?
Nothing. There's no like
Nothing.
here's
Nothing
the
I
thing.
buy at the store do I need a 3 year shelf life for ever.
Even the things I can at home can last for 3 years on the shelf.
But they don't.
They don't, but they
They
could.
don't. They
Right.
could, but they don't.
Right. Right. So there's no need to put any of that in there because if
None.
normal stuff I can at home can last 3 years, then anything that you can last 3 years too. You just the greed in America, I think, is what pushes
That
that kind of,
absolutely.
you know, and
It's
and
the
it's
greed. It's the greed.
yep, it is, and it's very very sad that happens. And normal people that work all day every day, they don't have time to grow their own garden. When you're working 12 hours out of the day, you don't want to come home and fix dinner and grow a garden and then go can it and everything. So most Americans are have to go to the store to get their food, you know, and that's like when Ari come here, he was like, "Man, I've never tasted a tomato like this. I've never tasted a butternut." You're like, "Man, I bet you go to the Walmart and look at the produce and think all this stuff is garbage." And I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much. It's because it is garbage,
Yeah,
you know.
pretty much.
But it's sad that we have to live in a country like that, because like you said, the UK, Germany, all these other countries, they don't allow that stuff in there. They don't allow
I don't.
red number 5 in their drinks. It's got to be colored with real
Right.
stuff, not artificial
Absolutely.
food colorings and stuff. They don't allow all these preservatives and stuff in there. And if they don't allow it, then why do we allow it?
Why do
Why
we?
is it acceptable here and it's not acceptable there? And
Right.
so hopefully that changes soon. I hope, because I mean, it would be nice that
It
we
would
didn't
be
have to
nice.
worry about, yeah, that our kids wasn't eating poison when we trying to feed them cereal. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to feed him when you got to hurry up and get him out to school? You got
Yeah.
cereal.
When
You know what I mean?
you have to rely on some of those quick, convenient things, you know, and then everything that's good for you costs extra.
Way
It's so
right,
expensive. It's like, why are we so backwards? Why is everything that's bad for you so much cheaper than everything that's good for you?
right, right. Like all those preservatives had to cost something to put into that bottle, but the one without any of that stuff costs more.
Right. Costs
What?
more.
Right? Why does that make
Makes no
sense?
sense. It doesn't
Yeah,
make any sense. It's so
yeah.
backwards. So
So
backwards.
so bad. So, what are some things that you got coming up that you're excited about?
I have a 2K giveaway coming soon. I haven't set the date yet, but I finally made it to 2,000 subscribers, and I do have to do I do have to
Awesome.
do a giveaway. So I have to arrange that, and I am going to be in. We just finished up Fall Fest 24, which is a collaboration that Gail at Gail Southern Living does every fall, and I always participate. So right before this live, we were in the grand prize giveaway for that collaboration. So that's why I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna be just a couple minutes because I'm trying to finish up this one." So the next collaboration is going to be a cozy fall soup collaboration, also hosted by Gail at Gail Southern Living, and then Heather with Milk and Honey Heritage Farms. So that's another collaboration. And then there was something else going on. It's hard to keep track of everything sometimes, unless you put it on your calendar. But I am going to be doing a lot more content in the kitchen once the garden fizzles out. We did an Instapot collab. We're always trying to do collabs because we're always trying to get all like other channels, other
Involved.
genres,
Yep.
other like, just a whole like diverse, you know, collection of channels to get involved in a collaboration that everyone can participate in, not just gardening or not just prepping or, you know what I mean, not just one thing or the other, but everyone can participate in, and then we can all get, collaborative exposure to like our channels and meet new people and make new connections and network and things like that. So there's a group of us and we try to always like add to the collaborating community. So like with Fall Fest, I think we had over 40 channels that participated. So
That's
that's
cool.
awesome. Yep, that was awesome. I think the Instapot collab, we had probably about 20 channels or so. The fall cozy fall soup collaboration, I'm sure there's at least 30 channels participating in that one. So it's really good because then you get your video out, you get in a playlist, and then everyone visits every channel, and you get tons of comments on your video. There's a always a giveaway at the end, so people love giveaways. So
Yep.
it's a good way to like network and get involved in the community and meet new people. So I love to always meet new channels and see new things and see what's going on in different parts of the either different parts of this country or other countries. Like we've got friends in Australia and just all over the place. So I think that's so cool that we can be on a live with somebody and it's 6 o'clock in the morning over there, but it's like 5 o'clock at night over here. So
Right.
it's like so cool.
They're just starting their day.
Yeah, she's up having coffee and we're getting ready to have dinner. So it's like
That
It's
is
pretty
neat.
cool. It's pretty cool.
So, did you get to see the aurora borealis up there really good?
I did not. I did not. This is, we had like what, two opportunities, two separate opportunities to see Northern Lights, and I did not even take advantage of either one. I didn't even go out there. I was like, oh, that was today? Oh, well, I missed it. So it's not even like I was not even in tune with it. It was like, oh, dang, I missed it.
Well, what about the comet? Did you get to see the comet?
I think I did. I think I saw it. I was driving home from dropping my sister off, and I was coming down Route 20, and I swear I saw it. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what was that?" And then when I got home, I started to see like different posts about it or whatever. And I was like, "Oh, I saw that." Like I accidentally saw it, but I saw it.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was green too.
Yeah, there. Well, there the green ones were the meteor showers.
Oh, well then maybe I didn't see it. Maybe I saw a meteor
So
because it was green.
the comet, it was it. You could see it every evening here from 7:45 until about 8:30, like every evening.
Really?
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
Wow. Like I've seen some photos of it, but I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was that long of a ordeal. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Who
And
took that? You did?
yeah.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
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 Oh wow.
Let me
Did you
see
take
here
that with a camera or with your phone?
with the phone.
Really? That's a
There's a
good picture.
yeah.
Yes. Look at all those stars too.
iPhone 15 works really good.
That's
I
nice.
got some more. Yeah, here's one. Let me see.
Oh yeah. And it was still kind of daylight out, right?
No, that's
Or
how
is that
that's how
just
the phone makes it look.
it just makes it look like that? Wow,
Yeah,
it looks like it's still kind of daylight out.
no, the phone. That's why I say the iPhone 15 works really good.
Wow, it almost looks like it's just kind of dusk outside. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like the sky's still a little bit bright.
that was. Let me see here. That one was at 8:24. Let me see if I can get it to.
Oh yeah, so it was probably good and dark.
It won't. I can't. It won't. It's too small to show it. But it was
Yeah.
Saturday, 4 p.m. on that one. So yeah, it was dark, dark. But yeah, you can see it from like here's one. Here's one where it was. It was at 7:54. So this it was still kind of daylight outside. Let me see if I can get it.
Oh yeah.
You can see it right there.
Yep.
Thank so,
You can barely see it, but it can see it.
yeah, it was still kind of bright outside for it, but it was really cool because like I said, you can see it. I think it started on the 13th, and last night was the last night I think that you could see it. So
Okay.
yeah, and it was like in
Yeah.
the same spot every night. So, but there was like meteor showers like 2 nights in a row with it.
That's what I think I probably saw because it
And
was green.
I was trying to catch the meteors with the comet. So I'm like sitting there,
Yeah.
and I'd hit like the um
To take the picture,
yeah, and like it like
it
never
would
caught.
move it. Oh.
So but yeah, because like what you do to make it like that, where you bring out the star, like I can get pictures of the Milky Way. I might have some
Hmm.
pictures. Um, but to do that, what you do is, oh, here's what the aurora borealis looked like here.
Ooh, that looks so nice. That's
Oh,
a good picture.
there's the lake behind the house, and then there's this one. Oh, they ain't gonna show it. Oh,
Oh, yeah, that's got the green and the pink. Yep.
so
Nice.
it was really good here. But you can see the Milky Way. Let me see
I
here.
thought, yeah, I heard they were saying for the most part, like everyone was able to see it, like in like just about every state.
Yeah, here's the Milky Way from the house.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is.
So the way you do it is on the iPhone 15 is you'll go to take a picture and you'll see this like yellow circle with like these lines in it,
Yeah.
and you'll hit there's like a down arrow. You'll hit the down arrow, and it'll pop up this stuff here, and
Uh-huh.
then you'll hit that button right. Oops.
Is it like night mode or something?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, yeah. Night mode. Yeah, and
Mode.
scroll it all the way over to 10. So
Okay, so you can
yeah,
adjust it.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So instead of it being like 1 second or 3 seconds for you to take a picture, scroll it
Mhm.
all in, and when you do that, like it makes everything pop.
Wow. Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks really good.
it's cool. It's
You
very
did
cool.
get some good pictures.
Thank you. Um, so what about gardening? What all you got planned for that? You got any plans for gardening?
I'm gonna do some more winter sowing this year. I didn't do a lot of winter sowing last year, but I plan to do more winter sowing this year because I do want to get more flowers incorporated. I feel like I don't have enough flowers. Like I need some more for the pollinators. And then I also want to incorporate more of the medicinal herbs and things. We did a collaboration with Mountain Grandma, Tammy at Mountain Grandma, and the Budget Preppers, and we did like a My Home Apothecary collaboration, and it was really interesting. Like I've got elderberries in my freezer that I still have to make elderberry syrup with, and I still have to do a video for that. But I did oregano oil. I'm making my own apple cider vinegar, so I do have a video out. No, I do have a video that will be coming out when I'm done with it. I think I'm on week 3. Saturday will be 3 weeks. So one more week, and then I can put all of the video pieces together and make a video with that. But yeah, I'm making like my own apple cider vinegar because that stuff gets getting expensive, and we
Yes,
drink a lot of apple cider vinegar. So it's not hard. It's really not hard. It just takes a long time. It's just time consuming. Things are time consuming. When you want a good product, it's time consuming. It's
I got a,
not like an
I got a lot.
overnight thing, you know?
Right, I got a lot of apples here left over. I wonder if I'd like to see that video because I got a ton of them, and
Oh yeah. And you can
like
make apple cider vinegar with just the peels of the apples. So like
really.
if you're gonna make like let's say you're gonna make applesauce or you're gonna make apple butter or whatever you're gonna
Right,
make with your apples, apple pie or apple filling, or you're gonna can apples, whatever. So you're gonna get rid of your peels and your cores. Don't get rid of it. Put it in a jar and you can make apple cider vinegar with that.
I got a whole bucket full of them right now.
Apple cores and apple peels you can make apple cider vinegar with. You don't need the whole apple. I
So
chose to use the whole apple because I had a bag of apples from work that they were going to throw out. And I was like, don't throw those out. I'll use those. I'll take those home and make apple cider vinegar with those. So I
right,
came home, chopped them up, put them in a gallon sized jar. And now I'm almost done with my apple cider vinegar. I got like one more week left.
what do you need to get?
You just need apples, water, and sugar.
Really?
Yeah. So you're
Shoot.
fermenting the apples is what you're
Yeah.
doing. You're
Okay.
fermenting them. So you're going to put the sugar is going to feed the yeast. So the beginning stages of the apple cider vinegar is and you have to stir it every day because otherwise it'll mold. So you're going to put your apples in water in the jar, and you're going to put your not like regular white sugar. It's got to be like raw sugar or organic sugar. You don't want it to be bleached sugar.
Okay.
And you definitely want to use purified water and not anything that's chlorinated. So, because that could mess with the fermentation process. But you just put your peels and whatever, your scraps, everything in your jar, you fill it up, you add the sugar, and then you let it sit. You cover it with a coffee filter. You don't want to airtight cover it because you need the air, you need yeast to do its thing. You stir it up every day. It should start to bubble after a few days, and that's when you know it's working. So then you're stirring it up every single day, and then it starts to smell like beer almost,
Okay.
or like an alcohol. So you know that it's on its way. And then you keep stirring, you keep stirring. After a while, it starts to smell like vinegar. So you know you're on the right track. After a month, it should be done. And what I have is I have some pH strips. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to test your vinegar, And as long as it's below 4.5, 4.5, you have vinegar. So
Okay.
I'm trying to get mine down to like 3. But a month is usually all it takes. Four
Okay.
weeks is usually all it takes. And then you strain out the apples and you've got apple cider vinegar. Now, what I did was I had some apple cider vinegar in the cabinet still. So I put everything in the jar, I put the sugar in, and then I also added like a quarter cup of already the Bragg's with the mother apple cider vinegar to the jar.
Right.
So I'm hoping that because it has the mother in it already, that by it being in my jar, that mother will just grow,
Bro.
and
Yeah.
then I'll end up having a bigger mother. Because then what you do with that is you strain it out, you strain all your apples out, you separate the mother from your vinegar. You put the mother in the back in the jar and fill it back up, and then you can make more apple cider vinegar from just the mother.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's kind of like a sourdough starter.
Right.
So you know how people have a sourdough
It-
starter, and you just keep making from that
right.
same starter.
You,
So
right.
that's exactly the same concept with the mother from the apple cider vinegar. You keep making from that same mother.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, so
That's
that's my plan, and I can see it like forming in the bottom of the jar. So it's really cool. Good night, Xander. Thanks so
yeah.
much for coming in. Hey,
So
G Junior.
yeah, that's very cool. I'm going to look into that because
Yeah. I've got
it's
so many videos that I still have to put together that I've already started. Like I did a garlic preserving video where I did fermented garlic. I did garlic confit, and then what else did I do? Garlic what's it called? Minced garlic. So yeah, but I do these videos and then I never and then I take so long to put them together and then editing, and it's like life happens, and so like I have the footage. Just I just have
I
to put it together.
I have I have got stuff that should have been released months ago. People are
Right.
going they're going to be getting summertime footage in December and January and think, where is this guy at? Why is it so
Ooh,
his place? Because I
right.
am that far behind. And like, and then what's so bad is I start running out of room. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, well, I can delete this and I can delete this and I can delete this because I don't really need those for videos. It would have been nice to make a little shorter, put it here or there in a video.
Right.
I don't need it. And then I end up erasing stuff I do need on accident. And it's like, well, there went that video because now I don't
Right.
have it. It's
Because
like,
now I don't have the clip that I need.
right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I guess I could go out in the wintertime and shoot that clip and be like, it was here and it was looking nice. We have snow now. On to the next clip, and just,
Right.
yeah. But, man, it's so,
So then you just break in and you say, "This is editing Ryan, and I'm just popping in to say that XYZ and ABC." And then now back to
right.
the video.
Right. You got to do something because, I mean, it was, um, I don't know how many clips I have erased for videos I should have. So, well, what I started doing now is I go into CapCut and I just put everything into that video, like how I
Yeah,
want it, and then I just make one video without editing it. I just make
right.
the video; it's not edited, and then I just save it to the phone. And I erase all the clips, but I got that one video there. So
Yeah,
hopefully, I throw any of those away because that'll be a tragedy. Uh,
right.
so, but yeah, that was
So how do you
yeah.
like CapCut? I tried to start using it, and then I just gravitated back to the I think it's
iMovie.
called KineMaster.
Oh, no, I was using iMovie before, and then I started using CapCut, and I was like, man, this is too easy. So like I can,
Really?
oh yeah, I can edit a video on CapCut in like a long form video, 14 to 20 minutes. I can edit it in 5 on CapCut. Um,
Really?
my shorts, I literally threw a short together in like 3 minutes with my wife. So my TikTok blew up, and um well, I say blowed up, but it's got like 14,000 people, so it's kind of blowed up. But anyway,
Yeah,
um,
that's exciting.
yeah, it is. And then it got monetized. And well, it's been monetized for since I had 10,000. I just jumped up to like 14 here recently. But um, I was unaware that you had to have 100,000 views in a month to get
Oh,
to like it said it was monetized, but I wasn't getting paid. And I was like, what's going on here? And so then one of my videos blew up and it's got like 125,000 views on it from like a week or so ago. And and I started getting all these different notifications and stuff for like monetize this, and whatever. And I'm like, I thought I already was monetized. Like I filled out all the paperwork and stuff. So I started asking my buddy from Seven Ken Homestead, who has like 700 and some thousand followers on TikTok. And
wow.
oh yeah, well you need to do this and this and this and this is what that means. I'm like, okay. So I start going in there and I look and I'm like, oh, okay. So I was sitting around and showing my wife, I was like, look, we can make really good money on TikTok because look how much money this video made. I don't even make that on YouTube
Right.
in freaking 6 months. You know, I was like, so let's just like focus on the TikTok thing right now. And I was like, watch this. Let's see if I take this one video clip, but I break it up and I make like what it was a base. Like we went to Bridge Day. Bridge Day is like it was at the time when they built it the biggest arch bridge in the world, but it's like the biggest one in the northern hemisphere now or something.
Okay.
Anyhow, it's like 783 foot over the New River Gorge Bridge or over the New River Gorge, and
Wow.
they close it down and guys go and base jump off of it, right? So, um,
Wow. That's exciting.
it's cool. I think I posted some shorts on YouTube too. Um,
Okay.
but they here recently started putting a big skyjacker lift on it and a catapult. So they take this skyjacker and jack it up like another 50 some foot, and then they
Oh
got a
my,
catapult beside it, and they catapult guys off, and then these other guys,
no way.
yeah, and then
Oh
these
my
other guys,
God.
oh yeah, it's all on the YouTube short, and then these
I'm
other
gonna
guys
look at that.
like jump off of the tower, right? So I was like, well, I made the one of the one dude getting catapulted. I was like, and it didn't do real good. You know, it did okay on TikTok, but it didn't do real good on YouTube. But anyhow, I was like, it's like 1,500 views, so we started getting paid for it because you got to have 1,000 views on TikTok before you get paid for it, and
Okay.
and they have to watch at least 5 seconds of the video for you to get paid for it, and it has to be on the FYP, which is the For You feed or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, um, it's got to be like like when you go scrolling, it's got to be there where you're scrolling. So
Okay.
whatever,
Yeah.
like
Like, yeah. It's
yeah,
got
yeah,
to be like promoted on the main
suggested. Yeah.
feed.
It's got
Yeah.
suggested for you. So that's how you get paid. So I had like 1,500 on that video, and I was like, all right. So I was telling her, I was like, so let's see if I do this. Let's see if I take that one clip where the guy's getting ready to get catapulted, and I break it up and I show different clips of other guys getting catapulted and other guys jumping off of the tower, and then at the end have the guy that I started with in the catapult getting launched out. You know what I mean? And see
Yeah.
if that. And so like I posted it. It did worse than the other video, but
Oh
she
wow.
she was like, "You really did that quick," and I was like, "Yeah, it's super simple. You just cut there, and trash it, and then." So I was like, once I learned it, like it only took me like a week to really learn. Now I'm sure if I tried it on the computer, I'd be totally lost, but I do it all on the phone. So
Yeah, I was trying to do it on the computer because I was trying to find a easier something so that I don't always have to do everything on my phone. I was trying to get away from like doing everything on my phone, but it's kind of hard to not do everything on the phone.
it
So
is.
like I tried to do the CapCut on the computer and I was like, oh, this is taking too much energy.
Cut on the phone is so easy and fast. Like
It's
it's
not
not.
the same, right? Because I had it on the phone and then I also had it on the computer. And when I had it on the phone, it was a lot easier than when I was using it on the computer. And I was like, why does this look like it's not the same? Even, you know what I mean? Like it's not even the same software, but
Yeah,
it's different. You know, it's a different interface.
it is, and that I think it's like it with everything though, because like StreamYard's a little bit different on the phone than it is on here
Yeah.
and stuff. So it,
YouTube.
yeah. So is YouTube. Yeah. So it's you would think
You
it'd all
gotta
be there.
really search for some stuff when you're on the YouTube mobile. Like you have to go in like more in depth into different things. Whereas if you pull it up on the computer, everything's just kind of like right there and you can just click on it. But when you're like on a mobile thing, you have to like actually search into like different other things to find what you're looking for. Because like
Right.
I didn't used to think that I could put tags on my videos when I was editing in the YouTube studio on my phone. But then I opened like an advanced something or other and I was like, oh, there it is. Like I accidentally found it one day and I was like, oh, I can add tags there. I used to always upload it and then I would do like the title and description and everything on my phone. But then when I would have to do tags, I would go onto the computer and then I would do all my tags and everything. And then I was like, man, this is like, why can't I do this on my phone? But then I realized I can do this on my phone. I just had to look further into the app to find that section.
Right.
So,
It it is frustrating. It's very frustrating. If only people knew the pain we go through to get
right,
it, you know,
to get the
they
content
much
out.
more appreciative of it. I guarantee you.
because because I have a 30-minute video that I'm trying to be mindful of, and I want to make it down to like a 7-minute video or an 8-minute video, and I'm trying to be mindful of other people's time. I know they don't want to sit here and watch a 30-minute video, so I got to do as much editing as I can.
Right. And then you're like, well, I shouldn't cut that out because that sounds important. I shouldn't cut that out.
Right,
You end up with one that's like 20 minutes long, and you're like,
right.
I got to
Like
get
you
more out.
need that information in there. That information is important.
Right. All because they can't pay attention, and they
Right.
want the next video.
That's a whole nother can of worms. That's a
Right.
whole nother can of
The
worms.
attention span of a goldfish. You know.
I'm telling you. It's like, and then it's like they keep coming out with more and more apps and things to keep you glued to your
Distracted.
phone, to
Right.
keep you like, you know, checking your phone, checking your phone, checking your phone, notifications for this, notifications for that. And it's like they want to keep you hooked on that. And then when other things they want to come out, when other creators want to come out with like these other apps that are like relaxation apps or whatever apps, they're like, oh no, we don't want none of those apps because we need them to be looking at the phone as much as possible, not relaxing.
Right. Well, it's literally a drug.
It
Like
is
it releases dopamine. And,
dopamine,
yep.
exactly.
And here's the thing: so many people. I've watched some stuff on Instagram that was talking about the teen suicidal rate right now, and a lot of them contribute it to screen time, and because they are no longer getting the dopamine, and they are so depressed because they can't get the dopamine they were wanting from the videos anymore, and it's throwing them into depression, and then they're committing suicide, and that's sad that we've gotten to a place in society where I have to get instant gratification from a video of people who I do not know that
Right,
make me laugh or make me smile or whatever. And I need that in my life because I'm not happy with myself. I'm so miserable with self that I need you that I don't know to make me happy. Right.
right,
And then don't get that instant gratification anymore because I don't get that dopamine from you because I'm literally tapped out. You know
right,
what I mean? There, one guy related it to a person who had went through all the stages of pornography in their life, like you know how it, like that just escalates into a horrible thing. That's what that guy was talking about. He's like, they get to the end of the rope, they have nowhere else to go. There's nothing left that
nothing
excites them, right? And they fall into a deep, dark depression. He's like the same thing with the drug addict. The drug addict ends up dead because they can't chase the high enough because they've
right.
just,
They
and
can't
so
get any higher.
right. There's nothing, and so it's sad that we have allowed that, that like my kids,
Really sad.
they're like, when can we have a cell phone? When you're grown. That's
Yeah,
when you get a cell phone because other than that, you ain't getting one. You're lucky you got tablets because you ain't getting a cell phone till you're grown. You know what I mean? It's you don't need it. You
it's
don't need
very
it.
bad. It causes anxiety. Like
Yep.
kids, like they're in school and they got these phones and they got anxiety because they have to pay attention in class and they can't be on their phone, or they can't check their, social media, or, whatever. And it's like, when, how did we get here? How did we get here? How did we get here?
I was
Why
eight,
did we get here?
I was 18 when I got my first flip cell phone, and I got it when I was in Korea. You know, like I didn't. And now you see kids that are 6, 7 years old, 8 years old. They got their own little cell phone walking around, with an iPhone 14 or 15. It's like, why do you got a $2,000 phone on that kid? Like,
Absolutely right.
if my kid absolutely needed one, I'd go get him a flip phone because you can still get them. You know what I
Right.
mean? But like, I'm not getting you an iPhone, bro. Like, no,
Absolutely not.
you don't need it. You know what I mean? Like, go out and have fun. Go out and play.
They
Be
don't.
a kid.
There's so much obesity in the United States because kids don't go out and play no more. The
Right,
parks are empty. They don't get exercise. They don't, you know what I mean? Everyone's got anxiety and depression and all these other mental illnesses
right.
because
They ain't going out
ADHD.
in the sun.
They can't pay attention. It's not that they can't pay attention. They literally
No,
can't pay attention because they've got so many other distractions that they just literally can't pay attention.
they're
And
like a
it's so
squirrel.
sad. And it's like, okay, so when we were growing up, we had to actually read books. We had to write things out. They don't do any of that anymore. Everything is
Mm-mm.
on a screen. They don't write anymore. They don't use
Nope.
calculators anymore. They don't, you know what I mean? They don't read books. So it's like, what are we doing? What is going on? Like, why is this? Well, how did we get this far? It's
There,
so sad.
I'll have to send you a link to a video on Instagram from a person who is a professor, and he posted stuff that his college students had wrote, right? What's funny to me is the handwriting of college students ages 18 to 24. You know what I mean? I kid you not, it looked like first grader, second grader handwriting. And I'm like,
Terrible.
how, like, you can't even write? Like,
Can't even
it
write.
can't even write.
Don't
I'll
they don't know how to even sign their name
no, just
because
put
they
it,
don't know cursive.
no.
So they can't even sign their name.
It's wild. It is wild to me. Like, I had the kids out this weekend foraging for mushrooms
I
and
saw that. I saw that.
partridge berries and all that other stuff, right? Like, let's go have fun out there. Like,
Yeah.
y'all want too much inside stuff, man. I can't do this no more. Y'all drive me nuts with the inside stuff here lately. Cause oh, but I want to get on
Right.
Xbox Live with no. Yeah, we're not doing
Right.
that. You can do it every once in a while. I don't care, but we're not making this a habit.
Weekends. Yeah, we would have limited screen time for the kids. They could do it on the weekends and only on non-church nights. So we had church Monday night, which was prayer, Wednesday night was Bible class, and Friday night was young people service. So Tuesdays and Thursdays they were able to get on after school until bedtime, which was okay. But Mondays and Wednesdays, not at all, and definitely not on Sunday. And then they were able to do Friday after young people service and Saturday after their chores were done. So those were the only times that they were able to get, game
Right,
time, screen time, whatever it was they wanted, computer time. But they had to make the best of it. So, and it wasn't every day. It wasn't as soon as I get home from school, I'm going to throw my bag down and I'm going to jump on the game. No, it
right,
was not. It was so. We had to make sure that we were not going to be just let them, because the screen is what's babysitting them. A lot of people are just like, oh, give them a tablet, give them something to keep them busy, give them something to keep them occupied, and now the kids are on the phones and they're ordering things off of Amazon and you know all types of stuff, and it's like, what the heck is going on here? Like,
right.
how does a 2 year old know how to order anything on Amazon?
Oh, they smart now. Like,
Right,
when I was 2 years old, I was going French fries from McDonald's and chicken nuggets, mama. You know what I mean? Like, go get me some food, mama. You would have handed me one of them things. I wouldn't have known what to do with it. These 2-year olds are like, do 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 do.
right.
Like,
They know more than you do. Like, oh, you got to do this, this, and this. You got to press that. Oh, you got to do this. You got to do that.
It's
That's
wild. It's
cool.
wild, right? And but they can work all that stuff, but they don't have a mind to do anything different. Like they can't get out here and work. You know what I mean? Man,
Because the work ethic is terrible with this generation. Like they want the
oh
money, but they don't want to do the work.
oh man, let me tell you, that 21-year-old I have staying with
Because
me.
because right away they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you need to put that away. You're at
Mm-hmm.
work and you need to put that away.
Yep. And they don't. So I had my 21-year-old staying with us all like pretty much all summer. And I was like, look, bro, you want to live here? You know, Bible says, man, don't work, you don't eat. All right. So I'm just going to put it to you like that. You ain't got a job and you're going to have to work around here. So if I need you, you're going to have to do something. Other than that, feed the animals every day and, do whatever else I need you to do,
Yeah.
which really wasn't my,
Hold your weight.
you would have thought feeding them animals was an 8-hour job in the coal mines or something. I mean, you would have thought I had a zoo of animals that he could go out and feed all by him, little old lonesome self. You know, it was. I mean, it was pitiful.
And he had to make the food too, huh?
Yeah, right. Like crazy. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, bro, I go out there feeding water all the pigs, the goats, and the chickens, and the pups and the dogs. I feed all that in like 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops. And you were out here like acting like,
Struggling.
oh, struggling ain't the word for it. You would have I placed him in the seventh hole of hell in the hottest place. And I mean just like he lost his best friend out there,
Oh my gosh.
21 years old. And I'm like, dude, it's not that hard to carry a bucket full of hog feed down there to them pigs and feed them. It
Right.
ain't that
It ain't like you're spoon feeding them.
no. Just dump it out in their bucket. I
Right.
mean, and then half the time he didn't even water them. Like I had to go behind him and make sure that they were watered or not. Like
That's
that's
worse.
listen, he
When you have to go behind them and make sure that it's done. Because then it's
well
like, well, I might as well have just done it myself.
look for 3 days. I know he wasn't feeding because I was going out there feeding him. I'd wait all day. Well, no,
Oh,
I say all day, but it was like 12, 1 o'clock, right? Because
yeah, but
I
to the animals, that's all day.
right.
They're used to eating at a certain time.
Right. They're eating about 8 o'clock every morning. Between 6 and 8, I'm feeding everything. So I'm waiting and waiting. And he ain't come out yet. Heck, he ain't even out of bed yet. You
Oh,
know. So I go and I feed him, and then he don't come outside and don't do anything, and he don't say nothing either. So I waited like 3 days this one time. I said, "How long you want to wait to feed them animals?" Oh, I've been feeding them. You have. You've been feeding them. You been you really you
and you
you've been
doing?
you've
And you
been
doing feeding them?
yeah. I said, I know you ain't been feeding them because I'm the one that's been feeding the past few days. Starts stuttering all over himself, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God. Like he just it was bad. It was oh Lord have
That's
mercy.
how they are these days. And it's like, I'm so grateful that mine they graduated and they left home. They went to the Navy because in our house, everything was so structured and disciplined pretty much that they gravitate to that discipline and
Right.
structure. So they knew when they graduated high school that they did not want to go to college. My daughter came to me and she was like, Mom, I know I don't want to go to college, but I don't want to be a bum. She's like, I don't know what I want to do because I want to be a teacher, but they don't make any money. And, I'm not sure what I want to do. And I said, well, what you could do is you could go to the military, get all the benefits from the military, do the reserves. You can still be a teacher and get paid from the military and do like one weekend a month.
There you
And
go.
you'll have all the benefits from the military, but you'll still have your salary and you still get to be a teacher. So you have the best of both worlds. And she was like, you know what? That sounds like a good idea. So she went, she talked to the recruiter. She comes back, she's like, you know what? I'm going for active duty and I'm doing the whole 20 years. I was like, what? Like, okay. She's like, yeah, because then she's like, I've already, she talked over with him and So now she has this whole plan. Like she pretty much has like her whole, like she's going to save this much money every paycheck. She's going to invest in this. She's got this plan. She's got that plan. So like by the time she retires, she's going to be 38 years old and she's going to have over $1 million in her savings account.
There you go.
Not to mention she's going to have property and she can still come out and get a good job
Yep.
because
And get
she's
retired.
right, and she's retired, so she'll have the full benefits of the Navy, full, everything, pension, medical, dental, all that stuff, all that she'll have because she's a vet, and she's only 38 years old at this point, so she can still work a full-time job and still have the benefits that she, retired with.
Right.
So, and she's in intelligence. So, like, there's all types. She can retire from the Navy and go work for the CIA if she wanted to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Technically, she's not that she wants to do that, but there's no limit to what she can do when she does retire. And then my son is he's in South Carolina, which my daughter's in Japan right now, but my son is in South Carolina and he's going to be a nuclear engineer.
Oh yeah,
So he's huh?
Jackson. Where's that?
He's in Goose
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Creek, South Carolina. So he's at the naval base there, at the nuclear naval base there. So he's going to study for 2 years, and then he's going to go on a sub. She's on a destroyer right now in Japan, and he's going to be on a sub. But they just like they already knew ahead of time. Like I don't want to be a nothing. I can't, I don't want to struggle in life. I don't want to be nobody and nothing and not have anything. I don't want to have to struggle for everything. But I know also that I don't want to keep going to school and go to college because then I'm going to be in debt. I still don't know what I want to do. So by them going to the military, it was like the best thing they could have ever did because for one, they get paid to do what they wanted. They get paid for their training. They don't have to worry about, food, shelter, none of that. You know what I mean? They don't have the stresses of life that these college students have.
Absolutely.
Like where's their next meal going to come from? And I got a test tomorrow, and this and that, and how am I going to do this or how am I going to do that? It's like all of that is gone. Like that
Yep.
stress is gone from them. Like they
Yep.
are as long as you're doing your job, you're getting paid, and you know what I mean. It's gravy for them. So I'm just like, and I have a sense of peace because I know that they're not alone. I
Right.
know that they can just move across the country by themselves in a van, you know what I mean, and they're just trying to make it. I know
Right.
that's not the case. I know that they're well taken care of. I know they have supervision. I know that they have discipline. I know that they're not just going to be getting away with anything, that there are rules and regulations and that they're still in line. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's not like I have to feel like, oh, my baby's out there by themselves and I don't know if they're going to make it. No, they got a whole community, and now their employer is the United States Navy. So, and I couldn't be more proud. So I just have one more at home. One more.
That-
She's a
no,
freshman.
good. I love it. I loved it. It was. I got to see the world, and I got to see all kinds of cool stuff, and I had
Yeah,
fun. So,
I told
I,
them like, take advantage of it. See everything you can see. Go everywhere you can go. You know what I
yep,
mean? Learn everything you can learn. And you know what I mean? When you come out, you'll be a better person for it.
that's right. Fortunately, that's what went to the army. So that's what mine did. Because hey, I had a buddy who's a recruiter. I said, hey, you're gonna have to come talk to this one because he's got to go. He's got to go. So
You gotta do
no,
something. You gotta do
yep,
something.
got to do something. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. So some of them just they don't have a drive. It's like it's
And it's
just
so sad to see
it's
that.
like what's wrong with y'all? Not but I
Like,
didn't.
don't you
I
want anything for
didn't raise him.
yourself?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I didn't get to raise him, so that's why he's kind of like it. But
And then a lot of them just feel entitled.
I think some of that. I think there was some of that. Some of it he just thought, just because he was
They
my
just
kid.
feel like, yeah, they just feel like, oh,
Yeah,
you got to give that to me anyway. So
yeah. Just
why do
because
I
you,
have to work for that?
just because you're my kid. Now that don't work like that. You know. So I
Yeah.
mean, like, my dream would be to move to South Carolina and get a boat and start doing charters and stuff like that. Uh,
Ooh,
yeah, and pile the money away, and then buy a bunch of land, well, buy a farm, come back and work the farm, give the kids the charter business, the jet ski rental, the Airbnbs that would be down there, the restaurant that I'd have down there. Like I would start with the boat, but I would roll that money all right
yeah,
into jet ski rentals, fishing, kayaks,
right,
paddle boards, anything that's down there at like Folly, Charleston Beach area. I would have all. Like it wouldn't just be I would have one thing. I would have everything, and
right.
but I would start with the charter stuff because that right there would make the most money for the least
Mhm.
amount of investment, and then I would just snowball it all into that. Once all that got up and running and got making me good money, because I've added it up because I've talked to all them down there. If I had all that, I'd make over 6 million a year.
Wow, that's a good market.
Yeah, if I had everything I just listed, there'd be over 6 million a year. So then I'd go buy me a big farm. I'd come back and work the farm, and I'd give all that to them to work and pay them like 1,000 a week or something like that to run it, to be the managers of the stuff. And
Yeah,
then yeah, and then I tie it all up in, what did I tell him I was going to put it in? I can't remember the name of it now. Goodness, what do they call those things?
like a raw.
No, you take all your properties and you put it into a, I can't think of the name of it. It's some sort of it's not a deed, but you're putting all the properties and all the investments into a trust.
I was gonna
That's
say, is it like a trust?
yeah,
And then
yeah,
they have to be like so old or like, you know,
yeah. And you can
they
make
can't touch
stipulations
it
in the trust.
until,
Yeah, you
yeah,
can make stipulations in it to where like nobody can get rid of it.
right, right,
But
right.
it just create generational wealth.
That it has to stay in the family.
Yep.
Yeah,
So like that would be what I want to do. If I could talk my wife into moving out of here, I would. So, but
I had
yeah.
thought about that too. I was like, we should move to. I was willing to move to like South Carolina without ever been there. I've never been there, but
Oh,
I
it's
was
pretty.
like, oh, I would love to just up and move to South Carolina. I don't even know why. I just
It's
would.
pretty
I
down
just
there.
feel like
Like
it's such a good place.
I don't think there's anywhere else I would move but there. Like if that's the only place I would move to would be like Charleston, Folly Beach area if I ever moved. So
Hmm.
other than that, I'd stay right here. But that place down there, because I love being on the water. Like
Yeah, we love the
that's
water.
yeah, the water, finding sharks' teeth, fishing, all that's like yeah, I can do this all.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
something about the water. It's like, and I was telling somebody the other day, like, water is like life. So it's something about being around water that just makes you so content because
yep,
you know that water is life. And it's
right,
like, I don't know, it's just the connection that you have with land and soil and water and nature. It's like to not have that connection, I don't know what that feels like.
right. Well,
I
like
don't I, I don't want to know what that feels like
outside of being in the garden, there's nowhere I go that gives me the peace that I have, like being by the water.
on the
Like
water. Yeah.
if I'm out by the ocean, I'm chill as a cucumber, like I'm out here in the garden. I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah.
fantastic. I don't have a care in the world. I'm
Mhm.
out here looking for shark teeth and fishing, and just I'm like a big kid. So I love it.
Yeah.
Love it, love it. But yeah, that would be the dream. That would definitely be the dream. So, but
There there was a scripture in the Bible, and it made me think about it. It's in Revelation 21 and 1. And it says, there was no longer any sea. And when I saw that one day, I was like, there was no longer any sea. So like when we get raptured and we get to go to heaven and everything, there's not gonna be no water, there's not gonna be no ocean, there's not gonna be no sea. Like how's that gonna be?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? How are we gonna be without that?
Right.
I don't know. That's gonna be weird. There was
is.
no longer any sea.
Man.
It said, then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. And I thought about that, and I was like, no longer any sea? Wow, like it blew my mind. Like I had to think about that because I love the water. I love the water.
Now I'm gonna have to go look into that.
And water is life, and it's like there was no longer any sea. Wow, like
right, blunt mind, right. I'm gonna have to research that now because that's.
It just makes you think, like, well, what is it going to be like? I mean, I know there's going to be streets of gold, and I know, you know, how they describe it, but no longer in
I can do without streets of gold and the walls of jasper. You know what I mean? Just give me a beach in a garden, and we're good. You can keep gold in the jasper.
The garden and the water. That's all I need.
Right. I don't need the other stuff.
I don't need the other stuff either.
No.
But yeah, I thought about that. I was like, what?
That's crazy. Well, is there anything that you want to talk about that we didn't get to mention?
I don't think so. I think we talked about a lot. We covered a lot of subjects.
Yeah, we did.
It was good. Good though. It was a good chat.
Yes, it was. So I'm going to go through this real quick. Next week, on the 29th, we've got Phil from Phil's Figs coming on. November 5th, we got Enoch Graham, the Urban Gardener. November 12th, 19th, 26th are open. So if anybody wants to jump in on those dates, email me at babydrill2119@yahoo.com. In the subject title, put live stream, and we can get you in on one of those dates. December 3rd, we got Milk and Honey. December 10th, we've got Alexis from Flourish Farm. December 17th, the 24th is New Year or Christmas Eve. We're not doing that, and we're not doing New Year's Eve. So the 24th and the 31st of December, we're not on, but the 17th of December is open. So if you want to jump in, email me again at babydrill2119@yahoo.com. Put live stream in the subject, and we'll get you set up on that. Other than that, I'm going to start filling up next year's stuff. I'm trying to work on that and having some fun. Would love to have you back on as well.
Absolutely.
So maybe get you in for like next spring or something, and see what you got going on over there.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So you can stay on real quick, and I'll end this live stream. Guys, again, we'll catch you next week at Tuesday, 8 p.m. Thanks for everybody joining in on the chat and watching, and we'll see you next time right here in the Hollers and Hills of West Virginia. See y'all.
Bye.